evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We're so grateful to have you. I didn't think that I would grow up in Silicon Valley and end up in the gas station business, but I kind of have. Ario is the gas station that you all want. Let me tell you what I mean. The incredible modern capabilities that we all have access to now, right? Incredible AI agents, incredible processing capabilities are the equivalent of everybody walking around. Every single person getting Ferraris, Porsches, Lamborghinis, sports cars, trucks, SUVs, whatever vehicle you want the most, you can have that practically for free. That's the capability level that is now broadly available to everybody in the industry. And what you need to make those vehicles go is gas. And the highest octane gas consists of the best and the richest data that's out there. And so what you're going to hear about for the remainder of tonight is about the highest quality data that's available, and that's user data. Transaction level user data that's the fuel for the vehicles that you want to build, for the applications, for the services, for the experiences that you want to build, either as individuals, for new projects that don't exist yet, for your companies that you may work for. They all need the same thing, which is the very best gas that's available. And so I'm going to bring Ariya up here to talk about how we're making that fuel available to everyone. Please welcome Ariya Hidayat.
Thank you. Today I'm going to share some good news, but I have to start with a little bad news. Just a little. So some time ago, I bought this lava lamp. It's summer, long days, short nights. I thought the kids would be amused and fascinated by this colorful, moving liquid or wax. But turned out that's not the case, because parents in the audience, you might know the drill. You can buy the coolest gadget in the world, but your kids might have different ideas. It's old-fashioned, it's out of style, it's ugly. Your spouse might hate it as well. It doesn't fit the living room decor. It sticks like a sore thumb. Complete waste of money. A million other reasons. To add insult to the injury, you also forgot to return this because it's been more than 30 days since you purchased this monumental failure. So it's continued to just stand in the corner. You look at it. It looks back at you, judging you silently, of course. But don't despair, because today I'm going to share with you a tool that literally can save your relationship. And to make it even better, we made it open source. So it's called Return Reminder. You can try it by going to returnreminder.com. And the way it works is you link your account. In this case, it's Amazon. So I'm just going to click on that. Input my password. We're going to share the GitHub repository after this, so you can try it yourself. Yeah, so apparently I experienced what in Dell I'm being referred to as hallucination. I bought the cool gadget and thinking that my kids will think of me as the best dad in the world. Turned out that's not the case. You know the demo is not rigged because it's really slow. There you go. So you can do the same thing with Office Depot and Wayfair. Here's all the things that I bought in the last 30 days. You can see the details, all the line items. And if, for instance, I don't like these headphones anymore, then I can just click on this Add to Calendar, and then it's going to open my Google Calendar, and I can just save the event so that I will never forget that that's the last day to return the particular headphone. You can add it to your Apple Calendar or Outlook, or if you want the entire return window in the form of an ICS file, you can also click on this, and then you can just add it to whatever calendar app that you use. So this should be useful for many of us. And the way it works, let me see if the repository is already open source.
Yes, it is.
Well done.
First star, first fork.
Good job. Oh, by the way, after this, we can hang out in the space, and then if you want to suggest some improvement or file pull requests or just want a code walkthrough, we'll be happy to help you with that. So there's Return Reminder. It is a simple Next.js app, nothing fancy, There's an instruction how to deploy it to Fly as a preference deployment, but you can use Railway, Render, Versal, what have you. But how does it work? Because we know that Amazon.com doesn't offer an API for anyone like us to be able to get the purchase history. You might send an email to Jeff Bezos asking for that, but consider that he just had this wonderful $50 million wedding. I don't think he's going to pay attention to your email. So what we're doing here is a browser automation to go to that Amazon website and then perform the entire sign-in on your behalf and get the data back in a form of a structured format, aka JSON. So return reminder is just an app. The backend that drives that or powers that is called, surprise, GetGather. We also made it open source. And wow, there's 2 stars already. I see there's hundreds of people here. Where are all the stars? There's a simple way to run GetGather. So you just copy and paste these 2 lines, assuming you have Docker desktop on your machine, then you should be able to run this. However, this is just an API service, so you need to use return reminder as the app that demonstrates how to get the data from Amazon and show it to the user. So fork it, suggest some improvement, play with it. But we don't only have Amazon, we have plenty of connection to various data sources. If you look at this, everything from Adidas, Agoda, AliExpress, all the way to Starbucks, Thrift Books, Zillow, and so on and so forth. And
work with Costco?
we have Costco there? Yeah, we have Costco. Yeah, we have Costco there.
So it doesn't depend on need an API.
This is basically turning any kind of website into structured data. You can think of it as an API layer for this website. And we'll be happy to have a walkthrough on how to build this spec yourself after the session. But today is the world of AI. Everyone is talking about agent and MCP. Any meetup these days will not be complete without some sort of demo. So I'm going to fire off my Claude here. And then, is it big enough? Yeah. So you can think of return reminder as the first demo app that I'm showing today. And the second one is an MCP client. And we have a couple of MCP here, but I have to run GetGather first. I think it's already running. Yeah, Docker 1, GetGather. And then I'm going to show you how this works. In fact, we already open source the MCP as well. So you can just look at the repository. There's MCP, 2 MCP, GetGather, eBird, and Goodreads. Well, let's try Goodreads. So I can say, list some of the books I have on my Goodreads bookshelf. So what will happen is, because I already connect Goodreads MCP to Claude, Claude will want to use it, and here I'm giving the permission. You can choose allow always. If you look at the background, it's going to do the entire browser automation to go to Goodreads website, sign in on my behalf, get the data, and if we get this correctly, it's going to return to Claude as a form of JSON, and then Claude is going to turn into sentences. Here it is. Make it bigger. I can also go to my Goodreads account, Goodreads website directly. Do I have it? And that should be the same exact list of books that Claude just displayed to me, because that's exactly what happens behind the scenes. Okay, bunch of books, but maybe I'd like to get some recommendation. What should I read this weekend, right? So based on those books, recommend 3 books I can read this weekend. Here it is. The Psychology of Money, Mindset, and The Lean Startup. I think I already have The Lean Startup. I don't know why it still recommends that. But the first 2 books, those are new to me. I never heard of it. And I think consider that Claude is also a gift, the reason why I should read this book. I think I should check it out this weekend. Does anyone ever read any of this book already? The Lean Startup, yeah. I mean, the first two. So this is the power of personalization. Now, as a chatbot, Claude is more useful to me because I already supply it with my data. And if I want to ask for recommendation or anything, I can even ask for, how about movies, right?
Feels like you should have used that with the lamp, before the lamp.
Here it is, Moneyball, yeah. The founder, Steve Jobs, Ford and Ferrari. Did I have F1 here? Margin Call, yeah. Those are pretty relevant movies to the subject that I have in my book collection. But we also have another MCP, eBird, for, this is courtesy of Scout. eBird is a website that allows you to register all the birds that you've seen. This is for bird watcher. So technically I can just say, hey, what is the rarest bird that I've seen? It will want to make a connection to my MCP eBirds. This one takes a while because Scout has hundreds of birds in his collection. Yeah, all the logging here indicate that, yeah, it's doing the usual thing to go to ebird.org and signing in on behalf of Scout and get the list of all the birds. So for any data sources that exists already in GetGather, you can build an MCP server because the MCP server technically just wrap the API that already exists. Wow, that's take forever. How many birds do you have, Scout?
Got a couple hundred on there, just so my life
Nice.
Sorry, I'll try and see less.
No, don't do that.
What kind of websites are most appropriate for your GetGather? Like, seems like e-commerce websites, right? Like, how about stock trading websites?
You can try. Anything that can be automated should be suitable.
Okay, so it's just providing a way to have the Claude talk to your data.
Any app talk to data.
Yeah.
If you have an app of your own, like Return Reminder is a little app that we made.
Okay, so I have to build an app over my stock trading website.
No, you can use Claude to.
And then
Yeah.
use Claude.
Yeah, you can use Claude if you.
It's usually either or. I mean, you can do both if you want. You can do a simple app that just gives you some dashboard of information you didn't have before. Or you could just say, listen, I want to talk to my stock trading app via Claude, and I just basically dump all of my stock trading data into Claude, and now we can have a conversation about it.
That's what it's.
So while waiting for parsing the birds list, let me show you the other fun app. It's called Data Portrait. And this is not very useful, but it's super fun. The idea is, again, you connect your Amazon and Goodreads and Office Depot and Wayfair, and then you have the ability to generate an image of yourself based on that. I can choose to be male and maybe, I don't know, pixel art. I like pixel art. Sometimes I wear glasses, so let's put glasses. Maybe some beard. Let me make me a bit older, and then just press that. So it will take all the items that you have, you purchase and you read, and then based on that, generate the image.
Are you using YOLO for this? Or?
This is using Gemini, but the application is designed so that you can connect to your own favorite image generator. I think we have support for Flux, and adding DALL-E or Midjourney should be pretty easy. In fact, make a pull request.
You don't have razor and shaving cream in your items.
It's AI. Sometimes it makes up something. I mean, I look more convincing here than in real life, so. Looks professional. Right. So these are the Although from a distance looks like good strategy and sad strategy is supposed to be bad strategy. But the headphones are there. It's different color. It's in correct color. And maybe female and then action figure. And I did connect my data source a little bit earlier because otherwise it's going to take forever. So these are the books on Goodreads and list of items I just bought from Amazon, and that is being used. Oh, this is interesting because it's so small. Like, we need to improve the prompt here. But the bookshelf is extremely convincing. There's a lot of image style that you can choose here.
Did you say use Gemini for the images?
Gemini, yeah. Again, it's pretty modular, so you can choose to connect it to different data sources. It's also open source. Where is it? It was 3. Data portrait. A simple Next.js app, nothing fancy. You can run it locally. Or you can just go to dataportrait.app if you want to give it a quick try. Let's see what happened. Oh, yeah, finally. The birds. California condor. Is that correct, Scout?
That is correct.
Perfect. So Claude is just one of many MCP clients. If you care about privacy, you might think that, yeah, sure, I run the MCP server locally, I run GetGather locally, but we're still sending these things to Claude, right, to Anthropic. But you're free to use any other MCP client. So I'm a big fan of LM Studio. This is similar to Claude, except that it will run the model locally. So I can choose to run, let's say, maybe just a small one, Gemma 3-4 billion. Entirely possible to run it here on my laptop. This is a 32 gigabyte MacBook M2, I believe, MacBook Pro M2. Oh no, this is going to take forever because it's eBird again.
So LM Studio, who is it from? Is it your own creation? Or?
No, it's from LM Studio, I think. From Element Labs. This is the 2 different apps, so they don't share data. But you can totally build an MCP server that have that caching ability. But we can, what should I do here? Well, let's run it and wait. Copy paste. But let me show you how what would be the other question that I should ask, Scout?
What about the most recent birds I've seen? Like 5 most recent birds.
It's 5 most. So again, this is running everything locally. Nothing is being sent to the cloud, except obviously to get the data from eBird. Right? Gemma will think for a while, and then it will come up with this prompt. Hey, I just want to call GetBirds, the MCP server. And then I can let it do that. And then I will do that in the background, and we'll check the result later. Yeah, so the core project that we want to open source here is called GetGather, and we come up with a bunch of demo apps, data portraits, and return reminder as a way to, as an example on how to use GetGather. And then we have 2 example MCP servers, so you can connect it to Claude, to LM Studio, whatever MCP client, even Cursor, if you want. And hopefully, you'll join us in the journey to build a community that cares about privacy and freedom and data ownership. Thank you. I think Q&A?
Oh, yeah, let's do Q&A.
Yeah, let's have a bunch of questions.
So there's no need for a REST interface at all? You use MCP entirely? MCP software interface?
Yeah, so maybe later we can draw the block diagram. So Claude talks to an MCP server, let's say MCP eBird. And then this MCP talks to GetGather. And GetGather will do the automation to get the birds data. Between MCP and GetGather, it's a simple protocol.
So but because everything is local.
Correct.
Can you show what a connector looks like? Like how would I make one?
Yeah, so we can go to, let's take a look at the Goodreads, right? So it's a YAML file. It's designed to be declarative. And basically, we define a bunch of fields using CSS selector. If you're familiar with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, this is not too foreign. Essentially, fields here enumerates all the elements that exist in the page. And then we have a bunch of definition for pages. So if this is a sign-in page, that is the URL, and that indicates we have to log in. And then if there are email and password, then we have to fill it. And then if we already complete the sign-in, then we have to go to My Books, right? And then if we get hit by CAPTCHA, then we just give up in this case. But we have upcoming solution for that. And that's it. And then in order to extract the books, the list of the books, we just have to go to particular URL and get the selector that corresponds to the table in the book, table on the page. And then there's a parsing declaration to indicate, hey, the cover is this image selector, and then the title exists in this, and so on and so forth. Yes, Kieran?
And also, it's as simple or complex as you want to make it. Like, you could probably spend half an hour and get a valid new YAML up for a grant spec. Basically, a new data source. So you're like, oh, these people don't have my favorite news source, the New York Times. I'm going to go get a New York Times one, right? And you can go and probably get something that works like 80% of the time in half an hour. And then you can spend hours getting it for the other, like, let's say 15%. You never get the other 20%.
So is the idea like all the data sources that are built by everybody is going to be open source?
Correct.
So is the specs basically defining the scraper in a sense?
Yeah, we categorize into 3 steps. So auth, the way you sign into the page, and then extract. This is how to get the unstructured version of whatever useful data you have, and then parse to turn it into structure, in this case JSON.
Is it powered by LLM or it just use Puppeteer?
Yeah, this is using PatchWrite as a modified version of Playwright, which is a fork of Puppeteer. And
You guys have one that generates the YAML given a site?
not yet, but we'll accept pull requests for now. So here's the eBird, for instance. Again, eBird is super simple. You go to the login page, fill in the username and password, click on submit, and then you just go to this URL to get the list of the page. And it's a simple CSS selector, but then you have to go through all the lists to get the right species and date and location. And this is what you're going to see in form of JSON. I think we should still have it right here. Yeah, so this is the entire parse or structure version of that eBird page.
Just a meta question. Has your CI shown how often vendors change their entire UI? Like how often do things break? Is there an average, or are some vendors worse than others? Like there are some that probably never change, so you guys are all.
Yeah, it varies. I think maybe months. And what happens is nothing magical. It's just big companies, they rarely change anything because it may break some stuff. And therefore, for instance, Amazon will never change the way the purchase history is rendered. Or maybe once in 10 years. Let's look at LM Studio. Oh, there's an issue. See, this demo is real. It has problems.
All right. Please proceed.
We talk about privacy for a second, just because I know that as a user, you're putting in credentials to a site that might not be the actual site, and then obviously that data is being used. Is it being stored somewhere for GetGather? I mean, it's kind of a softball since I work here, but as I talk to people, that's kind of one of the main concerns, right?
Yeah, for instance, if you go to that demo site, right, the returnreminder.com, behind the scene, we start PatchWrite, the headless browser, to do that kind of automation. But we never store anything. Everything is just thrown away, disappear as soon as the data is obtained and parsed and returned back to the client.
And if you don't trust us, you can run it yourself. Very cool.
In fact, don't trust us. I mean, don't trust anyone for that matter.
So if you're running your return reminder with an MCP interface, how does a external machine get to this?
This is
Standard, what is the protocol interface being exposed by the MCP server?
this return reminder doesn't use MCP. It's a simple, front end, back end, Next.js app that talks to our internal GetGather server that supplies the sort of API layer for Amazon and
Situation where MCP servers are being hosted externally?
we could, although we could. Although right now if we give a demo of MCP server, normally we want to focus on running this locally because this data is so sensitive. You don't want to have remote MCP server for Amazon, for instance. There's almost no point of running MCP server somewhere else for this particular use case.
Right, but other companies might be running.
Sure, yeah, definitely. It's their call.
Protocol they run on?
MCP server is called Model Context Protocol. That's the
JSON RPC.
yeah.
Oh, JSON. Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, you can do any kind of RPC connector.
correct. Yeah.
Depends on what code you're running.
There's a very good demo or very good example. Everyone should start with this weather MCP. If I can get the link, here it is. If you want Python, then you can find the code here. So it's extremely simple. It's literally just not even 100 lines. I think I have it connected. So if you use Claude, you can see the list of tools by virtue of that MCP server here. So I have Goodreads, eBird, and weather. Weather is exactly the example that I mentioned earlier. So I can say, how's the and it's going to invoke this weather server, the example one. If you haven't played with MCP yet, it's highly recommended. It's super fun. And this is the raw response from the MCP server. This is used as a context by Claude to formulate a very nice answer here.
In your GetGather, do you see this concept that you give? Let's say GetGather has 5 different sites it's trying to get data from. Do you consent for each one of them in the client at that point, or is it just once so it can get 5 different tools, Amazon, Uber, all of them at the same time? Do you do further granularity in that consent that you gather at the client layer?
Like return reminder, yeah, because if you want to connect to your Office Depot, then it will be a different set of username, password, and credential, and many others. So they will not share the same credentials.
But on the Claude client that you're using, the NCP client, you just consent once, saying allow once for GetGather to do whatever it needs to do across 5 different.
Oh, it's on the Claude side, so you can choose to allow always if you want.
But that's across 5 different vendors in the back end that get.
No, it's per tools. So if I say, hey, Claude, you can always access weather, it doesn't mean that it will always access eBird. If that answered the question.
It's not a GetGather MCP server that he showed. It's a Goodreads one and an eBird one.
Yeah.
So that each one's an independent.
Correct.
And these are arbitrary decisions that we made for the demo.
Yeah.
You can build it a different way.
Yeah.
So where are the site auth, credentials stored?
For the MCP server?
No, for the sites.
You mean for Amazon?
Yeah.
It's not stored anywhere, so we start a browser and then use that, let's say, email and password to step through the process of signing you in. And then when it's done, it's destroyed.
So it brings up, so I did I see you sign in? No.
No, because it's headless.
It's a headless, yeah. So I can demonstrate what happens.
So the headless needs the username and password. Where did that come in?
Yeah, that's when I click connected for the first time. If I repeat this, yeah. If I repeat this,
It's ephemeral
Yeah. So if I click this, then I need to input my email and password. In this app, which will be then sent to GetGather to facilitate stepping through the sign-in flow.
So I don't know, so that's why I don't know. So how does the headless browser get these credentials?
It's in the API between Return Reminder and GetGather. So that's a good point. I'm running it locally, so I can show the open API. Yeah, if you see this, this is probably very complicated. Yeah, we need to work on documentation.
So the headless browser, it sends back a prompt to the client
Correct.
app to get those credentials and passes them through there?
Correct, yeah.
And so you're not going through the site login, it's...
Oh, the browser does that, yeah.
So that comes up in the web browser?
Yeah.
The regular browser, and so you get your credentials, okay.
Because we're running it inside container, you don't see the browser popping up here.
Right.
But I can show you if you want to see a little bit
Yeah, I'd love to see
under the hood.
details of that.
Yeah,
of those specs.
definitely, yeah.
So what kind of logging is available for every activity that's happening?
Right now, we have built-in mechanism for Sentry. If you supply your Sentry DSN, then it will be sent there. But otherwise, it's just standard output.
Was your question about logging granularity or logging place?
Logging, yeah. What are the options we have for logging and enhance
Like
logging?
we have the standard levels of debug, info, etc.
Yeah.
That are reasonably granular, but never do any, as you can see in the code, never will.
Yeah, here's probably an example, right? So it's filling username, filling password, clicking submit, getting the list of birds.
So every activity that this system is doing will be logged.
Yes. Yeah, again, but these are all info. And so if you do debug, you'll get even more granularity. If you do warning, you'll get less granularity.
All right, I think that's about it. We have a bunch of Ariya's engineers here, so if you want code walkthrough, if you have some ideas for a demo app, if you want to improve Return Reminder, data portrait, play with MCP, find us after this. Yes.
So what is your roadmap and what part of it will be part of the open source?
Almost all of it, almost, unless Summit has some objection, almost everything should be open source. I'm just making it. So by default, everything will be out there, unless you press the stop button.
You have to be nice to me.
I think because we see a lot of interest in MCP server for the benefit of connecting to various MCP clients, including Cursor, Cloud, and LM Studio. I think most likely we're going to build the MCP functionality straight into GetGather, because that just makes sense. So you launch GetGather, you can just launch, you can connect Cloud to it. It will be slightly confusing because then you can see bajillion of tools, right? Get bird list, get books from Amazon, get books from 3Books, get eBay, this and that. But I think that makes sense.
So what about browser extension? What about rather than having a whole local service stuff, this could all run in the browser, and person could, for example, do the actual login and not have issues with CAPTCHAs and stuff.
It's a possibility, but I don't think it's the path that we pursue for now. We want to enable more agents to have access to data, and doing that through browser extensions just creates slightly more impediment to have direct access to your personal data.
Which is the impediment?
The requirement to have browser extension before Cloud can talk to your data. So in this case, for instance, in the case of bird collection, I don't need anything else besides running MCP server and GetGather and Cloud. So you can use any browser. In fact, if you pull up the Return Reminder and data portal on your phone, you can use it right away.
Right. An impediment from the user side, so the end user, not from the developer side. We actually had our own browser extension for a different purpose related to this, a year ago. It's very powerful because then you're inside the browser. You log into multiple sites at once. You have persistent access and so on and so forth. But if you just think about the number of prominent applications in the Google Chrome store where people download browser extensions, very, very small number. I mean, AdBlock crosses like the number one for ads. So from a user point of view, we're thinking about you serving your end users. We measured it, and it was a significant impediment. I mean, it basically really puts a significant denominator in terms of the number of people that are going to get past that step. We like browser extensions as developers, at least we did as a company.
Yeah.
But users did not adopt browser extension capabilities in as many, as much volume as we would hope. So we have sort of deprecated that path for our own development purposes.
It's also challenging to use browser extension on your phone.
Right.
Can I have like one important question regarding data and like I think general observation? So I've been to your talk last AI engineer, a year ago, and I was really impressed with the opportunity to work with like real data, like for instance my bank data or medical data, all Strava data, and all sorts of kinds of like data that matter to me. I understand this lamp can save the relationships, but I do have some data that I constantly work with, like financials at the company, for instance. And I'm curious, like within the MCP server, how are you even, like once you get, the unstructured, very often data, sort of like in any format data, let's say something will be CSV, something will be a PDF, something will be a scraped data according to specs. How are you handling within the MCP servers storage of the data and then retrieval so that some tools can retrieve smart questions? Because I don't think, so I worked with different types of like tensor data, and then it's very problematic to like create an extra layer for the MCP to actually be able to ask very complex questions, like please like generate like causal graphs and that, like really analyze the data. So I'm curious, like how are you planning to actually orchestrate that memory layer within the MCP server?
We're not that far yet. So.
Simple answer. Thank you. I think MCP is designed for simple, structured kind of queries, right? That's what they mean by tool. Tool is an interface. It's not for arbitrary natural language queries. For that, the general purpose Claude user interface you saw is appropriate, right?
Well, MCP has not just tools, it also has storage
and resources.
So I think the answer to the question, since everything's going to be, it wasn't clear 6 months ago, it's now clear now, everything's going to be MCP.
Right.
So we're all going to learn how to use the MCP storage layer.
Oh, there's storage.
Yeah, technically, for instance, in the case of eBird's MCP, after the first extraction of the birds list, it should be stored in resources. So subsequent question will not trigger the entire sign-in flow again. And there's also the possibility of combining one MCP to another. So for instance, after you get the list of birds, you can use, let's say, search or Google search MCP to find more information about the birds.
And I think the other thing is going to be, one thing I'm going to look into is encryption at rest for all this stuff. I don't know what people are doing for the storage resource stuff, things already, but pretty clear that's one of the things we want in there, right? We want to use your personal keys to encrypt all the data in this MCP layer.
Yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done on MCP. It was accidentally become viral, and now we have to, put some more auth and multi-user encryptions. Yes.
Is GetGather heavily dependent on cloud, or can we decouple and use any other channel?
Return Reminder doesn't use any cloud or doesn't use any MCP. It talks directly to GetGather. Okay. And take a look at the code. It should be easy to follow along. Yeah, I'll let Samit continue the discussion, and after that we can have a code walkthrough or further discussion if necessary.
Sorry, can you cover a little bit about the roadmap? What that you guys are planning to build in the next few months?
I think highest in the priority, probably making sure that GetGather is also on MCP server. You don't need to start a different one. Okay. So, yeah. Beyond that, is there anything that we should share?
Well, I think we should share two things. So first, part of launching this project early, right, when there are just a limited set of capabilities, is so that we can get feedback on where we can be of greatest service to everybody, right? So it becomes a mutual conversation. But secondly, I'll tell you, our bias is not to create a full-fledged environment that allows you to build an application and handles all of these different things, because there are two reasons. Number one, a lot of those things you're going to want to handle yourself in your own way that is sensitive to your own requirements. And number two, particularly with regard to things like MCP, there's an evolution path on that side that is rapidly progressing. And so those things are going to sort of magically work. I mean, my one's favorite thing to say is if something doesn't work today, wait 30 days and it's going to work better, kind of auto-magically in many of these different contexts. The thing that we don't see very many other people doing is giving you reliable, resilient access to the most valuable websites in the world that are never going to have APIs. Amazon, Google search, Twitter, DoorDash, right? So the first kind of order of business for us is expanding the footprint of sites from which we can extract data so that you can now get this valuable data for your users. We admit that that leaves lots of work for you to do in your own applications, whether it's for an established company or a new project. But in terms of where we can kind of apply our resources to provide leverage, we think that that's a core competency that we can bring to the table and kind of let a lot of the other things that you'll have to bring yourselves kind of, it's a wine versus bottle. You're going to need the bottle, you're going to need the label, you're going to need the logo, you're going to need the distribution. But can we give you a component or an ingredient that is otherwise relatively hard to get? That's our goal right now, is to really focus on giving you one core component that is extremely leveraged and extremely high value. I mean, if you have any number of different apps, stock picking app, financial management app, home decoration app, having the data about what this person did on Houzz, bought on Amazon, searched for on Home Depot, is an incredible enabling capability for personalization, recommendations, and basically making that experience more intimate. That's what we're focused on in the short to medium to medium term, until we get a lot more feedback. When there are 100 more stars and tens of thousands of people using it, then there'll be a two-way dialogue. But for now, absent that dialogue, we're going to try to give you what we think and feel instinctively is the hardest thing to get, which is reliable access to that data. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah?
Is there a plan to, I mean, right now you're getting data from the site. You have to specify, I'm going to get order data, I'm going to get return data. Is there a plan to make it so that I can order something, like interact with the site itself?
So kind of I/O or read-write rather than just read.
For example, order.
Sure, exactly. So we're gonna pause on that for a minute. That's very powerful, very valuable. There's a subset of applications, primarily agents acting on behalf of people, that people are gonna have to adopt and then authorize to act on their behalf. I think that it's a little bit early. We actually built a little bit of capability ourselves in a prior kind of application along those lines. And I think it's a little early on that because there's a very complex chain that says, are you sure you want me to spend $550 on this laptop? I mean, we were in conversation with some large enterprises that want to do exactly that. But boy, oh boy, you had better be pretty darn sure that it's that thing that they want for that price and not 10%. I mean, customers would go wild with anger if it was like $10 cheaper and you missed that opportunity. Like, they need to be in charge of that. So we talk a lot about getting it to the 1 yard line. I think that you can get 95% of the value, if not more, 99%, by, in that case of ordering, putting it in the shopping cart. And then you send an email that says, listen, the thing that you wanted, that I think you want, is there. You go push the very last button. You've done a lot of the searching, reducing the number of options, saving a bunch of the time. I mean, airline ticket, everybody shows this airline ticket example. Are you kidding me? We've been deep in that space. People take 3, 4, 5 weeks negotiating with their spouses, date, time. Can we go an hour later and save another 15%? Like, these are very large ticket purchases that are very, very sensitive. There's a lot of value to be added, but we think you can get almost all the way there, but not click that final button. As a result, we're going to wait a little bit on that to see how the market develops. But if you want to recommend what someone should buy and get very close to that point, you can do that by getting the data, the last 12 months worth of data. Again, in that two-way dialogue, if we see people saying, well, we want to get closer and closer, what the writing is the kissing cousin of the reading. So it's certainly the case that all of this core capability lends itself to that. But again, the community can also add some of that if it wants, and then we'll jump on that as well and amplify it.
Samit, have you ever used an AI agent to buy your flight ticket?
Not yet. I mean, my wife thinks of me as that AI agent, but that's about it. And she doesn't think it's very good yet.